Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today and this morning. My name is Wael Emam. I am a solutions engineer here with Couchbase. I am based in Toronto, Ontario. I have been with Couchbase, a bit of background about myself. I have been with Couchbase for almost 8 months now. Prior to that, I have been working in the big data space for almost 6 years. I work with companies like Hortonworks, Cloudera, and prior to that, I worked with various banks here in Toronto to help them build their big data platform from the ground up, all the way to putting applications in production. So I have been around the big data world for a bit, but today we're not talking about big data in that matter. We're talking about Couchbase and how Couchbase have a different way of implementing NoSQL in the cloud. With that said, I understand that not everybody heard or have used Couchbase. So to give you an idea of what's Couchbase in general, we have on the left-hand side, we have the wheel. We like to call it the Couchbase wheel. It gives you various ideas of what services we provide. And then on the right-hand side, this is what we like to divide into three parts. The first part is like from the developer perspective. We help developers to develop with agility and versatility. Like we give the developers different ways, options, and tools within our platform to enable them to develop however they want. Our database is a key value database. You can store any documents in our database. If you have the key, we provide you the documents super fast because we're memory first architecture. If you like, as most developers like to use JSON documents, you can store our JSON documents. And if you use JSON documents on our platform, we enable you with so many other services and tools that you can interact with these documents. Again, we are memory first database. We support ACID transactions. You can run analytics workloads because we have an analytics service that runs on our platform as well. Because we are not the traditional databases, the DBaaS, we are NoSQL. One of the best outcomes of NoSQL is the schema flexibility. You don't have the rigid schema for relation databases anymore. On top of that, built in our platform, you don't have to have any external or extra tooling around it. We have something called NICL, which is SQL for JSON. If you are familiar with SQL, have used SQL syntax before in your previous careers, it will be very easy for you to use Couchbase. And we will show an example how easy it is to interact with the documents using SQL. And we provide developers with a big stack, a large variety of SDKs. If you are familiar with Java, we give you SDK for Java, Python, PHP, .NET, Node.js, Go, and a lot more. All of them, you can use them in your application development. And we perform at any scale. You can scale out. You need another service for your data, another node for your data, for example. You add another node. Always on. You don't have to take down time to add a data node or add a query node or anything like that. If you want to replicate your data to another cluster that's in a different data center for DR reasons, we enable you to do that from within the platform using something called XDCR, which is cross data center application. And as I said, we're always on. We are distributed, so you can add some nodes, some services. You can do replication, you can do rebalancing, everything, which takes us to the next point. It's easy to manage because all of this, you don't have to take downtime. Your developers don't have to worry about when is the downtime and should I stop working or not. Developers are working, the operations team is taking care of everything in the background, and everything is working online. That's a very high level of what's Couchbase Server, what's Couchbase Platform. But here today we're talking about Couchbase Cloud. So what is Couchbase Cloud? This is a high level overview. So everything I mentioned on the previous slide from Couchbase capabilities, we brought it to the Couchbase Cloud. On top of that, as from its name, database as a service, we fully manage the clusters on your behalf. We do the deployment on your behalf. We manage the scaling and failover and recovery and upgrades on your behalf. And you have a single pane of glass that has all the clusters. You have single pane of glass that in the same single pane of glass, you have monitoring and alerting. you can manage multiple clouds and multiple clusters across the clouds from one place. All of that with NVPC security. Your data is secured in flight and at rest. We offer some of our offerings, or our offerings are, you can go in today to our cloud, to our website, and just sign up for a free trial. No strings attached. You sign up, you get your ID. You can use it for a specific period of time. I believe it's 30 days, and you can evaluate it and see if it's fit for your use case or not. If you see it's fit for use case, we have for Developer Pro and we have Enterprise offering. Developer Pro, they're just different in SLAs. It's mainly for dev and test environment for developers. If they need support, they need help, this is what Developer Pro is. And Enterprise, it's for production grade support. If you're fully in production, you need our enterprise support, we are there for you. And then some of the use cases, not all of them, that we see fit in Couchbase Cloud: digital transformation, customer 360, profile and session management, catalog and inventory management. Some of the Couchbase Cloud differentiators over other competitors that, again, we brought all our stack to the cloud, all our services and all these, our strength that we have from Couchbase Server to the cloud. So the memory first architecture, key value and JSON document support. We have full query support for Nickel, which is SQL for JSON, full text search and analytics, eventing. All of this is coming to the cloud. And another thing that we have is we deploy in your VPC, and this is a key differentiator. We do not ask you to ship your data to us. We do not ask you to send us your data, and you and us will talk about how we secure it. If you have security measures in place in your VPC, we take advantage of them. You don't have to rewrite them. You don't have to change them for us. We just manage the cluster for you. All of this in a single pane of glass. As I said earlier, you can manage and deploy multi-clusters, multi-deployments, hybrid, on-prem, replication can all be managed from one single pane of glass. And all of this will help in reducing the cost. Total cost of ownership will go down, because now you don't have to worry about who is managing the cluster, who is deploying the cluster, who is taking care of operationally of the cluster. All of this is managed from our side. And so why would you go to Couchbase Cloud? Again, to my last point that I talked in the previous slide is, you don't have to worry about who is rack mounting the servers, who is deploying the software on the servers, who is managing the security on the servers, which enables the developers to develop as fast as they can. A couple of clicks, you can have a cluster up and running. They can do their development, they can do their testing. Everything goes well, they can just shut it down. Your controls when it comes to customer controls and security, or securing the data, are in place, are enforced, because we do not take your data. So we're trying to make the developers develop as fast as they can, which in turn means that you can go to market faster than before. Because now if a new feature needs to be added to your application, developers can work on it right away. It's ready. You can just deploy it in production, because your production cloud is ready as well. Which means, to the last point, it's less expensive, even though it's in the cloud, and we can debate cloud is cheaper or not. But you don't have to worry about managing the infrastructure, managing security, managing networking. All of this is done within the cloud, and total cost of ownership will definitely go down. And if you are having, for example, a deal that you have with your cloud provider, you can take advantage of that, because we are deploying in your VPC, so you can take advantage of any pricing that you have with AWS, Azure, Google. This is the Couchbase Cloud architecture at a very high level. The top part is what Couchbase takes care of. This is our Couchbase Cloud Control Plane. It's a single pane of glass for managing all your cluster information, all your clouds, all your projects. It's secure, it's encrypted, it's multi-tenant, it's highly available, it's fully automated, and it's just self-serve. You log in, you create your cluster that you need. The bottom part is what happens in the customer VPC. So if you can see, all the Couchbase nodes are being deployed in your VPC, which means all the data is being on your VPC. So all the deployment that we deploy in your VPC, will make sure that we're using our best practices, and it's all fully automated, and it's encrypted, and it's secure. So in your VPC, data does not get out. It stays in your VPC. We just need some access to provision instances in your VPC. Again, how you would, and we will see this in a quick demo after that. You just come to our portal. With your credentials, you log in. You can create a cloud, and we currently support AWS. Next up is Azure, and then Google very soon. And you just create a cluster, and in a matter of minutes, you have a cluster up and running, and your developers can start working. And when you're creating a cluster, we out of the box give you some templates how the cluster configuration should be. Or you can decide, like, no, I want this amount of nodes for this service and this other amount of nodes for other services. So we give you the flexibility. If you need help from giving you some templates, or you want to do it on your own, both of them are available. And some of our customers says, like, okay, I want to move to the cloud, but I don't really know how I'm going to move our data to the cloud. So we have two options, and both of them are from the control plane. So you can actually do it from the single pane of glass from our Couchbase control plane. Online migration, we leverage XDCR. We will set up XDCR application from on-prem to cloud, and your data will be there, and we'll show this in the demo quickly after. And then we have the offline, which is you export your data and then you import it through the Couchbase cloud control plane. With that, let's go to a quick demo. This is our Couchbase cloud portal, cloud.couchbase.com. Once you get your credentials, you sign in. I'm just here. You can see I am part of two different organizations, Couchbase and Field Engineering. I would use the Field Engineering for today's demo. Once you go in, there is the dashboard. You can see very high level the status of your cloud, of your environment. Here we have 10 clouds, 84 projects, all are healthy. We have 10 clusters, 3 of them are in draft, so we didn't finish building them. The users just stopped halfway through or something. Then we have 77 users, 15 of them are pending. They didn't accept their invites yet. Very high level. If there's any alerts, you will see them there. What is cloud? What is project? What is cluster? Cloud is where you set up you basically open the connection to your VPC and your provider. So here we have all our clouds in AWS. You can see here, then the East, the EMEA, the West, and different teams have their different clouds, which makes you have more control of quotas when it comes to who has access to how many instances they can spin up, load balancers, any of that. You can define them at the cloud level, and they can just be enforced here. That's a cloud. What's the project? Project, as you can see here, is just a logical container for clusters. You can think about it as departments, or you can think about it as the cluster state, like one is dev, one is prod, one is UAT. Or you can have in another department, like HR, for example, or engineering, for example, you have 3 different clusters, dev and prod and UAT, and same thing. It's just logical containerization of clusters together. So in my project, my name, we have 2 clusters. Going down this list here, you can see that we have access to the user. So if you have admin rights to the organization, you can see all of this, and you can see here some of them are Couchbase Cloud users, some of them are database users. And you can see down here, you can see some activities of something happened. Let's say today, we don't have activities today. So let's see past week. You can see here some who created a cluster, who created a bucket, who deleted the cluster. It gives you a very high level of who did what when. And one thing that lots of customers ask about is billing. Can you show me who's using what, when? Can I see a pattern? Yes, you can. Here's an overview of your billing. You can see the previous period you used, how many credits are you using in the current period, and you can see it per month, how many credits have been used. And you can see as well how many clusters have been deployed per period. If we go to project, you can see a very high level of what are the projects, if they have a support plan or not, and how many clusters per project. And then you go to usage, and then you can see per period, you can see which user, which project had how many server hours, how many credits used. Again, we give you a lot of information, or as much information as we can, to enable you to decrease your total cost of ownership. And of course, if you want to, if you run into an issue and you want to open a support ticket, it's just from the same portal, same location. You just go to support, create a ticket. You can see here we have 5 open tickets and 39 that have been closed. And at any time, you can leave us a feedback if you have any tweaks that you want or anything like that. We're always there and ready to hear what you have from feedback perspective. And if you need access to documentation, you click on documentation to take you to our documentation. That's a very high level of what is Couchbase UI, Couchbase Cloud UI. If we go now to drill down to clusters, I have created a cluster called Big Data AI Toronto. But if you want to create a cluster, this is what it looks like. You give it a name, and you choose what's your cloud, and you choose what's your project, and you create cluster. It takes you another page, and this is the templates that I was telling you. So these are out of the box, some templates you can use, or you can custom. You want how many nodes, what's your compute, what's the storage size, and you can just choose that. We're not going to do this today. We're just creating, using this Big Data AI cluster that I've created. And again, once you get greeted by an overview look of your cluster, how many nodes in it, how many buckets, if there's any replication sessions happening, how many services running, and the health of the cluster with some metrics. Very high level overview. And then within the services, let's say, for example, you have one data node and you know that next week you will have a lot of data coming in and you need to increase, or tomorrow you will have a lot of data coming in. You can just click on here and just increase the number of nodes for the data service, online and separate. You don't have to touch the index and query or search nodes at all, just specific for data. And then here it gives you a high level of what are buckets that we have and how you would connect our cluster. So this is the public connection string and this is the private connection string. And we have examples of SDKs. How would you interact with this cluster? And we have some here, some examples. This is not all the languages that we provide. Scala, for example, I know we support it and it's not there. But this is just a quick example that gets you up and running and how to interact with our Couchbase Cloud cluster. And then if you have replication session happening, you will get the information here. You can set it up here and you choose what's your destination cluster and what's your source bucket, and you just click, and your replication, as long as you have access, works. And then backup and restore. So here we did a full backup last night at 1 a.m. You can manage it. You can say when do you want it, what's the interval, what's the retention period that you want. All of this is controlled from here. You can just do a manual backup. You just want to have a backup right now. You can do that as well. And then some tools that we have are documents. And if you come from the Couchbase server perspective, this is how it looked like for people who don't know Couchbase server, I've never used it before. This is the server, this is the buckets, this is some information about the cluster, and then you can, here we have documents, query, index. The UI is different, but the functionality is the same. We have the documents, you click on it, you can see here, these are the buckets, you can check the documents and the travel sample. This is a document. Same functionality, different way of doing it, but in a very similar way. And then the query workbench, you can import data sets. For example, if you want to have a file in your laptop and you want to import it, you can just, like, if it's a JSON, you choose which bucket you want to put it in, what's the format, JSON lines, for example, and then I say next. I will give you an endpoint where you can use on your command line if it's a large file, or if it's a smaller file, you can just use the upload it from the portal here. And coming up is the query workbench. So for if you guys never worked with Couchbase before, we have the nickel notion, which is nickel is SQL for JSON if you have a JSON document. So this is a query that I have set it up. You can see here it's very, very similar to what's normal SQL that you would have used, other than backticks and some just here and there differences. But the syntax itself, if you have used SQL before, it's pretty much the same. And here in this SQL statement, I'm just saying, give me all the hotels, give me the top 3 hotels with the best ratings and their country. So if we run it, gives you here, we have 3 hotels, 2 of them are in United Kingdom, 1 in France, and these are the overall ratings and the hotel name. We can see it in a table format. If this is what you like, we can explain, figure out how did this query get executed. So we had this indexed, so we hit that index, we did the fetch and did filtering, and then we did the ordering, and we give you the results. For every bucket, you can see here lots of statistics, lots of information. What are the indexes? What are the document types? This is a lot more information. We'll be happy to answer any of these questions in our booth, so please come and visit us. Last thing I wanted to show is we have here a different cluster that it's an on-prem cluster. It has 1 replication session. In this session, it is replicating from an on-prem cluster. So this cluster is actually this cluster here. And these are the buckets in this cluster. And you can have FHIR admin bucket. And I am replicating from that to an FHIR replica on my Couchbase Cloud cluster. And if I go to my clusters, the big data one, and I go to buckets, the FHIR replica has 475,000 documents, and it's on their on-prem one, it's 475,000 documents as well. That concludes the walkthrough of the UI. One last thing I wanted to show is how to interact, and I just wrote a quick and dirty 2 small applications to show how we can use our SDKs to interact with the Couchbase Cloud cluster. So this one here, this is in Python. I'm using the Python SDK from Couchbase, and you just give it the give it the endpoints, all the credentials, and which bucket I'm using. And what I'm doing here, I'm running the same select statement that we ran on the UI. I just click run, and it gives you the same results. Again, same syntax and the SDK, nothing different. And then I have a different one here, which it's in Java. Again, using the SDKs from Couchbase. I'm giving it the cluster endpoint configurations. I am opening here the connection. And then I am inserting. So I'm upserting the document from here. So I am creating a new document that did not exist. So if I run this one now, actually, before we do that, if I go to documents here, and this bucket, there is no documents. If I run this now here, we have 1 document that have been created. If we go search documents, we have a document. We should see a document that we have created. And this document, again, the name of Arthur, the interest, Holy Grail, and African Swallows, and the email of King Arthur at couchbase.com, which is matching what we have inserted here. And that concludes my demo. A couple of other things that I wanted to touch on here in our presentation. How would you purchase? We have 2 options. On demand, just with credit card, you get a bill every month from us. You pay as you go. No discounts. You just pay what you use. If you buy credits, which is a bulk purchase, you get 20% discount. And you can use it however you want, and it has only 12 months expiration period. So, which means, unlike other competitors where you have to use, for example, if you bought 12,000 credits, you have to use 1,000 credit per month, or you lose it in other competitors. With us, no. You buy 12,000 credits, you can use them however you want throughout the 12 months. 6,000 credits the first month, nothing the second month, then 500 credits third month. That's totally fine. We have no problem with that. And other last thing that I wanted to talk about is our event. We have Couchbase Connect Online. It's happening on October 14th to 16th. It's a 3-day event. We have lots of technical sessions, business sessions. We have a lot of developers coming to join us, customers to talk about their use cases, how they using Couchbase, and share this knowledge with all of us. We just lots and lots and lots of technical sessions, business sessions, help everybody. We come together and talk to share our knowledge, to expand the Couchbase community and make sure that everybody's using the product to its limits, basically, and taking them as much as benefit from it as possible. This is my link to it. You can scan it and you can basically register, and it's free. You just come and join us. Last thing, I am available along with my colleague, our account exec, Steve Miller, in our booth anytime. Drop us a line if you have any questions about this or anything about Couchbase. We'll be happy to talk to you. If you want to schedule a meeting, please do. We are available. We're here for you. Please let us know, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much.